Google AdWords and email, a B2B power combo. Why Google AdWords and email are a B2B power combo in 2025. If you're running B2B growth in 2025, you're dealing with two uncomfortable truths at the same time. Google Ads is getting more expensive, and buyers are harder to pin down once they click. The answer isn't turn off paid search or blast more email. The answer is building a single, connected journey where search captures intent and email, plus SDR follow-up, converts that intent into meetings and pipeline. This is exactly why we treat Google AdWords, yes, it's Google Ads now, and email as complementary channels, not competing budgets. Paid search gives you live, in-market intent signals, while email gives you the most scalable way to continue the conversation on the buyer's terms. When you wire them together correctly, you stop paying for one-and-done clicks and start building a repeatable revenue motion. Multi-channel isn't a buzzword here, it's math. Campaigns using 3 or more channels have been shown to drive up to 287% higher purchase rates than single-channel campaigns, which is a strong reminder that buyers convert after reinforcement, not after a single touch. In B2B, the AdWords to email handoff is often the highest leverage reinforcement you can build. How modern B2B buyers behave and where your funnel leaks. B2B buyers don't wait for a cold email agency or an outbound sales agency to educate them from scratch. Many are already 57 to 70% through their research before they ever contact sales, and that research is heavily search-driven. Even when your ads work, your team is usually stepping into a buying process that's already in motion. That's also why your website and landing pages matter more than most teams admit. Research commonly cited in B2B buying behavior shows 97% of buyers check a vendor's website before reaching out, and 81% contact vendors only after they feel ready to engage. When your paid click lands on a generic page and then falls into a generic drip, you're essentially telling the buyer, "We didn't listen." Email is the channel where you can prove you did listen, fast. Sellers Commerce reports 77% of B2B buyers prefer to be contacted by email, which makes it the natural follow-up layer on top of search intent. If you run a B2B sales agency or an internal revenue team, the goal is the same. Connect what the buyer searched for to what you say next. The paid search cost reality. Benchmark your funnel, not just your CPC. In 2025, paying for intent is normal, but wasting it is optional. WordStream's 2025 Google Ads benchmarks put average search CPC around $5.26 with an average CTR of 6.66%. LocalIQ's 2025 analysis, reported by Search Engine Land, shows average conversion rate around 7.52% and average cost per lead around $70.11, with search costs rising year over year. Those numbers should change how you measure performance. If your team celebrates more leads but doesn't track meetings and opportunities, you'll naturally optimize toward the cheapest forms, not the best fit pipeline. This is one of the most common reasons AdWords gets blamed when the real problem is a leaky handoff after the click. Use the benchmarks as guardrails, then build targets for the full journey. Impressions to clicks, clicks to leads, leads to meetings, meetings to opportunities. When you treat every paid lead like it must earn back its $70.11 and then some, the urgency to add email nurturing and SDR follow-up becomes obvious. Implementation. Capture intent signals and trigger follow-up within minutes. The simplest way to increase ROI on Google Ads is to stop treating a form fill like the finish line. Your campaigns contain real-time intent data, keyword themes, ad groups, landing pages, and offers. And that data should be captured on every submission and piped into your CRM and marketing automation platform. When an SDR or an outsourced sales team can see what the prospect searched for, the first email can sound helpful instead of generic. Speed to lead is non-negotiable for paid search traffic because buyers are usually comparing multiple vendors in parallel. Set a hard SLA for response time, ideally 5 to 10 minutes for demo or pricing requests, and build alerts that make missing the SLA visible. The first touch should be a short, plain text style email that references the exact asset or request and includes one clear CTA, typically a calendar link for high-intent leads. If you only do one microfunnel before scaling, do this. Pick one high-value keyword cluster, build one landing page with tight message match, and create a tailored email plus SDR cadence for that exact intent. Webio's analysis highlights just how complex the journey is becoming. B2B deals in 2024 were reported to require around 266 touchpoints on average. So your job is to make your touchpoints coordinated, relevant, and fast. Every Google Ads click is a buyer telling you what they care about. Your email and SDR follow-up should prove you heard it. Best practices: build dedicated journeys for paid search leads, not one drip to rule them all. Paid search leads are not the same as webinar signups, list uploads, or generic content syndication. They come in hotter, they decay faster, and they expect continuity from ad to landing page to follow-up. That's why we recommend at least 3 dedicated journeys, one for demo/pricing requests, one for high-intent content like assessments or calculators, and one for early-stage education that still matches a clear keyword theme. Email is the perfect partner to expensive clicks because it scales cheaply and stays personal when done right. Prospect Wallet cites B2B email ROI around $36 to $40 in revenue for every $1 spent, and Wi-Fi Talents reports 63% of B2B marketers say email is their most effective lead nurturing tactic. When you combine that with high-intent search traffic, you're essentially using email to compound the value of each paid lead. Personalization should start with intent, not demographics. If the prospect searched B2B cold calling services or cold calling agency, your first touches should talk about appointment setting outcomes, messaging, and show rates, not broad growth language. At SalesHive, we use automation and AI-assisted personalization, including eMod, to keep messaging relevant at scale. But the principle is universal. Mirror what the buyer was already trying to solve. Common mistakes that waste ad spend and how to fix them. The biggest mistake is running Google Ads and email as separate programs with separate owners and separate definitions of success. When PPC is optimized to CPL and email is optimized to opens, you end up paying $70 plus for leads that sit in a generic nurture while SDRs operate blind. The fix is operational. Pass UTMs and intent tags into your CRM. Route leads by offer type and fit, and hold both teams accountable to meetings and opportunities. Another common mistake is using the same follow-up sequence for every form fill. Gartner reports 73% of buyers actively avoid suppliers who send irrelevant outreach, and that's exactly what happens when enterprise SOC 2 automation gets the same cadence as a top-of-funnel ebook download. Branching doesn't need to be complicated. Even separating demo/pricing from content offers can materially lift reply and meeting rates. Finally, many teams optimize ads for leads, not revenue. Cheap leads often come from low-intent queries or sloppy placement choices that never convert downstream. And then email gets blamed for low performance. Push opportunity and revenue data back into your reporting. Review performance weekly by campaign and sequence, and be ruthless about cutting keywords that don't produce sales-qualified meetings. Optimization, attribution, remarketing, and SDR stitching across channels. Once the basics are working, the fastest gains come from measurement and coordination. Build one shared dashboard that follows the full path from impressions to revenue, sliced by campaign, ad group, landing page, and email SDR journey. If you can't answer which keyword themes create opportunities, you'll keep guessing, and guessing is expensive at $5.26 per click. Remarketing is the underused third leg of this combo. Create Google Ads audiences from key page visits, pricing, integrations, case studies, and coordinate the ad narrative with the nurture narrative so prospects see the same storyline in search, display, and inbox. When multi-channel campaigns can lift outcomes by as much as 287%, remarketing is often the simplest way to turn one click into many reinforcing touches without multiplying your SDR workload. SDR should stitch the journey together by working from intent and engagement cues. Instead of a generic inbound queue, route SDR tasks by recent Google Ads activity plus email engagement, opens, clicks, replies, and have them reference both signals in their outreach. This is where a strong sales development agency or SDR agency process wins. You're not just contacting leads, you're continuing a conversation the buyer already started. Next steps: build it in-house or partner for speed and consistency. If you have strong marketing ops, a disciplined PPC owner, and experienced SDR leadership, you can absolutely build this motion in-house. The litmus test is whether you can reliably execute the unsexy parts: clean UTM capture, CRM field mapping, routing rules, deliverability hygiene, and SLA enforcement. If any of those are shaky, the power combo turns into a leaky funnel fast. For many teams, the faster path is sales outsourcing, especially when you need both paid search execution and an outbound engine that can call and email consistently. That's where a specialized B2B sales agency, cold calling services provider, or outsourced sales team can shorten the time to results by bringing proven playbooks, list building services, deliverability infrastructure, and trained cold callers. The goal isn't outsourcing for its own sake, it's getting to a working system before your paid budget becomes a tuition bill. At SalesHive, we've built our model around this exact multi-channel workflow, combining Google Ads with email and SDR follow-up to drive meetings and pipeline. According to our published stats, we've booked over 117,000 plus meetings for 1,500 plus companies, and we use our platform, including eMod personalization and deliverability protections, to keep outreach relevant and measurable. Whether you build internally or partner, the next step is the same. Start with one tight journey, prove it drives meetings, then scale the play across more intent clusters.